Lucia Cossu here, voice teacher. Here we are with the first. The first I want to put into the ingredients that make voice production from a biological and anatomical point of view. Meaning what? Meaning that in the body we have many systems and we think of a vocal system. When we think of a vocal system, if I ask most of you, they will say, oh, we have a larynx, we have vocal folds into the larynx for voice production. Yeah, that is true. Some others will say we have the air of the lungs to make those vocal folds vibrate. Yes, of course. Some others will say, but the diaphragm. Oh, the diaphragm, they will give to the lungs the force to control this air pushing outside or inside the abdominals. Some other, if they are classically trained, they will tell me the pelvic floor. Yeah, of course. And so, but if I take a medical app as my fantastic app that is Essential Anatomy 5, that is the one from which you will have all the anatomical material and images there, I will find a skeleton system, a skin system, a muscle system, arteries, veins, nervous system, connective tissue, respiratory system, digestive system, urogenital system, endocrine system, lymphatic system. So what it means? I don't have a vocal system. What it means that, why I don't have? Because we evolved, as in many human functions, to use basic functions or biological functions of other structures for our purposes, transcending in some sort the original purposes of these structures. So, what we know that we have in common, and it has been studied for a long time for voice production: respiratory system, yes, of course, the lungs, the larynx, absolutely, the trachea, yeah. Part of the digestive system, the tongue, the lips, part of the pharynx, and some muscle. Okay. In here I will have muscles of what kind? I will make a separation because I will tell you, you will understand in 1 minute why. Muscles are of three kinds in the body. We have the hot muscle, that is a muscle in itself. We have smooth muscles, which are the muscles of the digestive system. And we have a smooth muscle also into the respiratory system, that is the trachealis. Yeah, quite cool. We have skeletal muscles. Skeletal muscles, from a functional point of view, are related to the skeleton system. And the skeleton system, without the skeletal muscles, will not provide its function. So, why we have those categories that are not exactly, from a functional point of view, so what we would expect? Because those systems are based on histological, meaning material, or cadaver anatomy, meaning not from a functional point of view, because cadaver is not a living creature. And I will embrace, as I embrace in my practice, as I embrace in my reasoning, and as I embrace in this series, the functional point of view, because it's a step forward from bridging what are practices, what are also traditional practices or very contemporary practices, to biology, and to biology intended as the synthesis of what effectively applies to us and to the system when it is living. And when it is living, meaning also what we do and what we causes by what we are doing, meaning also it's not fixed. It is a living creature, it's a dynamic system, so it has adaptations, it has changes, it has changes that we do not want, it has changes that we do want, and those are the ones we are going to look for and we develop by training systems. And we are bridging this gap. And we are bridging this gap because we are getting more sophisticated and we have some kind of knowledge and capacity of observation that we did not have before. So, did I put everything into? No, I did not say sorry. The skeleton system with the skeletal muscle, from now on, I will call big box. So the diaphragm, the abdominals, the pelvic floor, they are part of big box. And yet we know that directly are important for voice production because of the diaphragm. Everybody knows of the pelvic floor, some of the abdominals, everybody knows. Somebody knows of the neck. Somebody know of other muscle which are the muscles of the rib cages for respiratory function. Okay, so second step. Are those systems made of the same material or are mostly of the same material? What they have in common and what they have of difference? The respiratory system is a system made of a lot of cartilages, which are the structural part. In the skeleton system we have bones, there we have cartilages. Why? Because it's very important for the respiratory system to have an elastic capacity, a flexibility capacity, to change volume and to change the stress of the changes of pressure and volume. So also we will have the larynx, the proper larynx that is made by cartilages. In the time the cartilages of the larynx get calcified, we have a bone, a proper bone into the vocal system, that it is a hyoid bone, that is a floating bone, yeah, quite cool. It's not directly attached to the skeleton system, it's floating, and we will see in details how, because it's very important for voice production, and it is an exception. Horses have those bones, the clavicles, they are floating, that's why they can jump all that, they can jump without breaking themselves. Cows don't have that, they're much more fragile for that. So, we have the structure of the larynx with the cartilages, we have into the larynx proper skeletal muscles, and for this the larynx has a behavior that is not so far from the skeleton system plus skeletal muscles, meaning that, as you see in the photo, we have a muscle that have agonist-antagonist function that is very important, and we will see that it's very important also to determine what we can develop and what we can't develop. And this is cool also because it's something that we know from not a long time now. And we have a lot of mucoses in the mouth, in the lungs. We have musculomembranosus as the laryngopharynx, which are again mixed materials, or the nasopharynx. We have a serous membrane, I hope I'm pronouncing correctly, sorry for my English, as the pleura, which is the membrane of separation of the respiratory system from the other parts of the body. In the digestive system we have a similar membrane that is a peritoneum, that also it is a separation membrane from the other parts, and they have some serum in between to make smooth the movement of the organs inside, and for the pleura is the same thing. Into the lungs we have specialized cells, and you see all these strange forms of the bronchs, etc. In the digestive system we have some tubes, some again epithelium, we have membranes, we have a lot of connective tissue. I didn't say that for the respiratory system we have a lot of connective tissue. Into the skeleton system plus the muscle system we have some connective tissue that is called most properly fascia. But proper fascia also is something very specific, and it's not all the connective tissue, because for example the cartilages are a kind of connective tissue, the ligaments are a kind of connective tissues, the tendons are a kind of connective tissue, and they have their also functions, and not only mechanical function but also proprioceptive functions that are very important. And that's why it's quite important to make the differences into the systems, because the difference into the system means differences into behaviors, difference into short-term, medium-term, long-term behaviors and adaptations, difference in controlling, difference in force producing. And since voice production is a mixture and a use of diverse systems, we have to put correctly the ingredients, otherwise we don't understand exactly what we are doing, when we're doing, how, when, and how to determine what we want or what we do not want. So, I talked about respiratory and digestive. The skeleton plus skeletal system is done by what? Connective tissue again, ligaments, tendons, and fascia, that is the connective tissue in between the muscles, soft tissue, yeah, skeletal muscles, a lot of skeletal muscles, most part of skeletal muscle is into this system, the bones. What are the functions of these systems? We know that the first function that we want is survival, and it is the priority into the body. Survival, food research, and mating. So let's get to the functions. What is the priority for our survival? Respiration, food, not being damaged by the gravity or the forces of the movement, to have enough food, so to have and to find this food, to protect ourselves. And to protect ourselves how? As a movement thing that is attacking or running away, but also protecting ourselves by the penetration. So, which are? Digest the food, etc. We have other functions that are important. What I said, the human proper functions, finding meaning, finding something of satisfaction. We are not into survival, we don't think about playing basketball, but some dedicate all their life to basketball. Same as singing, same as acting, same as art. So in some sort, they are not survival functions, but they're very important. They are so much important that we can use for other use systems that are basically made for survival. For example, the respiratory. When you get a panic attack, you put a lot of air inside. So you're overriding something that is a survival mechanism, that it is. You don't have a survival system to exhale, you have a survival system to inhale. And this will override everything. When you sing, you cannot be in danger of life, but you can have fear. So you can have the survival mechanism interfering with your singing. And we will see that in many, many functions in the next episodes. And it is central for training, for development, for understanding how you have your voice now and why you have this kind of voice now. We have the digestive functions. They are important, they are fundamental, but under a survival danger, they can be put on stop, as we see. When a very big stress arrives and we have the adrenals that made a lot of adrenaline, and the digestive function, they just stop functioning for a little, for the time being that you have to think about your survival. So those usually, they get into the way if you really, really, really have get a lot of fear, but not so much directly. If you're stressed all the time, yes, of course. If you have chronic stress, yes, of course. But we'll see this into the nervous system when we analyze the vagus system. The function of the skeleton system are of support and movement. Are they important for singing? Yeah, they're crucial. We yet said of some muscles, and we will see in some detail some others. Other point, what are the fixed part of this system and what are the dynamic part of the still developing part or still changing part of our system. Some decades ago we thought that the functions were much more fixed than what we are actually discovering and thinking. So we can say, okay, the bones, are they fixed? In their length, probably yes. Or yes, we can quite say yes. In their density, no, not really. When they are fixed into their length at a certain age, and in their density it depends on the age, but it depends on other circumstances. Is it the same for the muscles? Is it the same for the cartilages? Is it the same for the tendons? Is it the same for the ligaments? Is it the same for the nervous system? Is it the same also for the genes? Why? They can be all important. Into a great book that is the Complexity of Greatness, edited by Scott Kaufman, there is a very important chapter on the fact that we have redundancy also in our genome, meaning that we have dormant genes that wait to be activated. And those genes can provide some functions that we want to implement into our life. And what if those functions are the exactly vocal functions that we wanted, or the creative function related to voice production that we wanted, and we had not found yet? Can we develop them? Yeah. But more biologically, basic and pragmatical, can we develop tendons? Can we change tendons? Can we change ligaments? Well, recent studies says yes. And my practice says yes also. Meaning what? Very often you arrive to me telling, I have this voice, I expect you help me to help better the functions of this voice. And sometimes it's not exactly the voice, the true voice you have. Meaning what? Meaning that you have not developed yet. From really a biological point of view. And you look at me and you say, but this is my voice, I've developed yet, I can't change it. Well, which are the ingredients that you can't change and the ingredients that you can change? That's why I'm making this point on the fixed system. Because can you change the cartilages in their measures? No, probably not. But can you change their behavior? Can you change how their density somewhere? Can you change if you have mistreated them for a long time? We have to see, because partially yes and partially no. And so it's very important to get specific. And those, for me, are the ingredients of today. So to recap,